For the last 30 days, I ran an experiment on myself. I applied one psychological trick to every single decision that scared me. It started out as a simple confidence challenge, facing tiny social fears and small career choices. But around day 15, something changed. It felt like I was stumbling onto a universal secret for dealing with that nagging inner critic for good. You know, that voice of fear, that constant whisper of doubt. What if you could change your relationship with it forever? In this video, I'm going to share that secret and the exact process I followed. So you can try it too, because I learned that beating fear isn't about being fearless. It's about understanding what fear is trying to do, and then choosing to walk a different path. Before these 30 days, my life was basically run by a committee of invisible tyrants. This committee had one job: keep me safe. And its favorite tool was a constant, low-grade hum of fear and self-doubt. It was the background noise of my life. You know the sound, right? It's that voice that pops up the second you think about doing something new, something bold, something that might lead to failure. My inner critic wasn't some loud, abusive bully. It was way more sneaky than that. It was smart. It sounded logical. It sounded just like me. When I'd think about applying for a promotion, it didn't scream, "You're a fraud." Instead, it would calmly whisper, "Are you really ready for all that responsibility? Think of the pressure. You're comfortable where you are. Why risk it?" It framed every fear as a sensible, rational choice to just stay put. This voice made doing nothing feel like a brilliant strategy. In social situations, it was a master of preventative anxiety. Walking into a room full of people I didn't know, my inner monologue would just kick into overdrive. Don't say anything stupid. Everyone here already knows each other. You look awkward just standing there. Just grab a drink and try to look busy. It held me captive, turning what should have been a chance to connect with people into a high-stakes performance where the only goal was to not mess up. The result? I'd leave parties feeling drained and even more alone, convinced I was fundamentally bad at being social. Creatively, I was paralyzed. I have a folder on my computer that was a graveyard of half-finished projects, abandoned ideas, and first drafts that never went anywhere. Every time I'd open one, the voice was right there with me, like a phantom critic looking over my shoulder. This isn't original enough. People are going to think this is a ripoff. Who are you to think you have something important to say? The fear of being judged, the fear of not being good enough, kept my best ideas locked away in digital drawers, collecting dust. This doubt made me lose out on things I might have actually won. But the worst part wasn't the fear itself. It was how exhausting it was to constantly fight it. I was always at war with my own mind. I tried to use brute force, telling myself to just be more confident or stop being so anxious. But trying to push those thoughts down is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The second you lose focus, the fear just bursts back to the surface, sometimes with even more force. This inner conflict was costing me. It was costing me opportunities, relationships, and any real sense of fulfillment. I was living a smaller life than the one I knew. Deep down, I was capable of. I was a spectator in my own story, stuck on the sidelines by a fear I just accepted as a permanent part of me. The thought of ever truly overcoming it felt like a fantasy, something for other, braver people. That was my before. A life lived in the shadow of a doubt so normal, I barely noticed it was there. It was just the weather in my mind, and it was always cloudy with a chance of failure. My turning point wasn't some big, dramatic moment. It was more like a slow burn of frustration that finally ignited. I was just so tired. Tired of the mental gymnastics, tired of missing out, tired of hearing my own excuses played back to me in a voice that sounded like reason. The breaking point came when I turned down a chance to speak at a small industry event. It was a huge opportunity, one my rational brain knew was a perfect career step. But the inner critic won easily. It painted this vivid picture of me freezing on stage, forgetting my words, and staring out at a sea of unimpressed faces. I said no. The moment I sent that email, I felt this sickening mix of relief and regret. That regret was the spark. I realized my fear wasn't protecting me. It was shrinking my world, one safe decision at a time. I got obsessed with finding a real solution, not just another motivational quote. I dug into psychology, neuroscience, and stories of people who made profound changes. And that's when I found the concept that became the foundation for my 30-day experiment, cognitive reappraisal. It sounds fancy, I know, but the idea is shockingly simple. Cognitive reappraisal isn't about fighting or suppressing a feeling like fear. It's about changing the story you tell yourself about the thing that's causing the feeling. It's a way to consciously reinterpret a situation to change your emotional response to it. So, instead of seeing a challenge as a threat, you reappraise it as an opportunity. Instead of seeing stress as a sign you're about to fail, you see it as your body gearing up for something important. This was a total light bulb moment. My whole life, I'd been trying to fight the feeling of fear. I was treating the symptom. Cognitive reappraisal said I needed to go after the source, the automatic thought that triggers the fear in the first place. Your brain's first take on an event is called a cognitive appraisal. Cognitive reappraisal is just you stepping in and offering a different take. The psychological trick I decided to test for 30 days was a simple, actionable version of this. I called it the reframe. For every single decision, big or small, that triggered fear or doubt, I would make myself do two things. Acknowledge and name the fearful story. I'd pause and pinpoint the exact narrative my inner critic was spinning. For example, okay, the story I'm telling myself is that if I speak up in this meeting, I'll say something dumb and everyone will think I'm an idiot. I would actually write it down, treating it like a piece of fiction from a very, very cautious author. Propose a more empowering story, the reframe. Then, I would deliberately write a new story. This story had to be both positive and, importantly, believable. It couldn't be some wild fantasy. For the meeting example, the reframe might be, an alternative story is that sharing my idea shows I'm engaged and could offer a valuable perspective, even if they don't agree. Speaking up is practice for being confident. This is an opportunity to be heard. The science on this is incredible. Research shows that practicing cognitive reappraisal can actually change your brain activity, dampening the amygdala's alarm bell response. You're literally retraining your brain's automatic reactions. Stanford psychologist Kelly McGonigal's work on the stress mindset sealed the deal for me. She argues that just changing your mind about stress can change how your body responds to it. Seeing a racing heart and sweaty palms not as anxiety, but as your body giving you energy to rise to a challenge, can transform the whole experience. So the plan was set. For 30 days, I would become a storyteller. Every time my inner critic offered its story of doom and gloom, I'd thank it for its input, and then consciously choose a different narrative. I wouldn't ignore the fear, I would just reframe the situation that caused it. This wasn't about naive positive thinking. It was about taking control of my perspective. It was an experiment in becoming the editor of my own mind, and I had no idea it was about to change everything. The first week of this experiment felt weird. It was forced, like I was constantly trying to argue with myself. The old fearful thoughts were loud and automatic, and my new reframed stories felt like flimsy whispers in a hurricane. But the rule was simple. Apply the trick to every decision that scared me. And that's where lesson number 1 came in. Start small. The coffee shop confrontation. It was day 3. I was in a crowded coffee shop, and the barista got my order wrong. A simple thing. I asked for an oat milk latte and got regular milk. My immediate gut reaction was pure social anxiety. The inner critic went wild. Just drink it. It's not a big deal. If you say something, you'll hold up the line. Everyone will stare. The barista is busy and will be annoyed. It's just a coffee. Don't be that person. The story was crystal clear. Speaking up is a conflict that will end in social humiliation. This was it. A perfect low-stakes moment of fear. The ideal training ground. I took a breath and did the reframe. First, I named the story. I literally muttered under my breath, "Okay, the story is that correcting this tiny mistake will make everyone angry at me." Just saying it out loud made it sound a little ridiculous. Second, I came up with a new story. The reframe is, the barista wants to do a good job. Politely letting them know about the mistake helps them do their job well. This is a simple transaction, not a confrontation. It's a chance to practice being assertive in a very safe way. My heart was still pounding a bit. My body was still running the old fear program. But I had a new script. I walked back to the counter, waited for a pause, and said, "Excuse me, I'm so sorry, but I think I was given the wrong milk. I ordered oat milk because of an allergy." The barista's response, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Let me remake that for you right away." No annoyance. No one in line glared. The world did not end. A minute later, I had the right coffee and a small but profound feeling of victory. That tiny incident was a crucial piece of data. I had faced a fear, and the catastrophe my brain predicted didn't happen. The outcome was actually positive. I was proving to my brain that its old fear map was out of date. Every time you act despite feeling self-doubt, you strengthen the habit of confidence. Each small win was another piece of evidence I could use against my inner critic next time. It was uncomfortable, but it was working. I did this with everything. Sending an email I was nervous about, making a phone call I'd been avoiding, asking a question in a webinar. Small, deliberate acts of reframing, followed by action. Anecdote 2. The real breakthrough came around day 18. An opportunity came up at work to pitch a new, ambitious project directly to senior leadership. This was a massive leap, way outside my job description. The old me wouldn't have even considered it. The risk felt enormous. And right on cue, my inner critic, now feeling a bit threatened by my progress, came out swinging. It didn't just whisper this time. They gave a full-blown presentation on why this was a terrible idea. "You're not experienced enough. These people are experts. They'll see right through you. If you fail, it won't just be embarrassing. It will actively damage your reputation here. You'll be seen as someone who overreaches. Play it safe. Wait a year. Wait until you're more prepared." It was the ultimate fear of failure story. But by now, I had almost 3 weeks of practice. I recognized the pattern. I sat down with my journal to do the reframe, but this time, it felt different. I named the story. The story my critic is telling me is that this is a high-stakes pass-fail test of my worth. The only outcomes are total humiliation or glorious success, and humiliation is the most likely. This is a threat to my career. Then, I started writing the new story, and this is where the universal secret started to click into place. I wrote, "The reframe is, this pitch is not a test. It's an experiment. It's a chance to share an idea I'm passionate about. It's a chance to get feedback from experienced leaders, which is valuable no matter what. It's a chance to show initiative and courage, which are good qualities." And then the key thought hit me, the one that changed everything. I added a new sentence. "The fear I am feeling is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that this matters." That was it. That was the secret. Fear and passion are two sides of the same coin. The inner critic's voice gets loudest precisely when you're standing at the edge of something you care about deeply. Its job is to protect you from pain and rejection. It's not actually your enemy. It's a misguided protector. It means well, but its methods are just outdated. It's like an overprotective parent who, out of love, never wants you to climb a tree because you might fall. To truly live, you have to acknowledge their love, thank them for their concern, and then climb the tree anyway. This realization totally transformed my relationship with fear. I stopped trying to shut the critic up. Instead, I started listening to it as a signpost. The more fear I felt, the more I knew I was moving in the right direction toward something meaningful. My anxiety became a compass pointing me toward growth. I reframed the physical feelings too. When my heart pounded before the pitch, I didn't think, "I'm terrified." I thought, "My body is getting me ready. This is what energy feels like." This is the heart of the stress mindset idea. Seeing stress as a resource, not a threat. I walked into that pitch meeting with a completely different energy. I was still nervous, But the fear wasn't the enemy anymore. It was my co-pilot. I acknowledged it, thanked it for reminding me how much this meant to me, and then I delivered the pitch with a sense of purpose I had never felt before. Did they approve the project? No, not on the spot, but they were engaged. They asked great questions. They praised the initiative. I walked out of that room not with a win or a loss, but with something way more valuable. The real, lived experience of knowing I could face a huge fear and not only survive, but thrive. I had turned fear into fuel. The critic was still there, but its voice was no longer the loudest one in the room. My own voice, the one talking about opportunity and purpose, was finally taking the lead. The experiment had shown me its secret. Don't silence your inner critic. Befriend it. Listen to what its fear is telling you about what you value, and then use that knowledge to be brave. The solution and transformation. 30 days later, my world looked fundamentally different. Not because my life had magically changed. I had the same job, same friends, same apartment. The change was internal, but it started showing up in every part of my life. That constant low-grade hum of anxiety that was always playing in the background had faded. It's not totally gone, but it's no longer the dominant sound. It's just one instrument in a much bigger orchestra, and I'm the one holding the baton. The biggest transformation was my relationship with my inner critic. Before, I saw it as an enemy to be conquered. Now, I see it as a part of me that's trying, in its own clumsy way, to protect me. Its whole purpose is to keep me from getting hurt. I've learned that when its voice gets loud, it's not a warning that I'm about to fail. It's a sign that I'm stepping up to a challenge that actually matters to me. The fear it creates is no longer a stop sign. It's a GPS notification that says, "Warning, you are approaching the edge of your comfort zone. Meaningful growth ahead." This shift from an enemy to an ally is the solution. You don't overcome fear by getting rid of it. You overcome fear by changing how you relate to it. The reframe was the tool that made this happen. It created a tiny, crucial pause between a trigger and my reaction. In that pause, I could look at my automatic negative thought without becoming it. I could see it for what it was. Just one possible story, not the absolute truth. In my daily life, this means I'm marked by action instead of hesitation. That folder of half-finished projects? I've since finished 2 of them and put them out in the world. The feedback wasn't all glowing praise, but the world didn't end. And the feeling of hitting publish was 1,000 times better than the false safety of keeping it hidden. The fear of what people might think was replaced by the reality of what I did. Socially, I'm just more present. When I walk into a room of strangers now, the inner critic might still chime in with its usual warnings, but I can now kind of smile at it and say, "Thanks for the heads up. I got it from here." I focus less on how I'm being seen and more on what I can learn from others. I ask more questions. I start more conversations. I've realized that most people are way too busy worrying about themselves to be judging me. That simple shift from self-consciousness to curiosity has been totally liberating. The universal secret this all revealed is this: your inner critic isn't your enemy, and its fear isn't a curse. It's a compass that points directly toward the things you value most. The path to dealing with your inner critic isn't through fighting, but through wisdom. It's the wisdom to listen to the fear, understand the value it's pointing to, and then consciously choose a story of opportunity over a story of threat. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to become a better storyteller. The person I am today isn't braver because I feel no fear. I'm braver because my definition of courage has changed. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is acting on what you care about despite the feeling of fear. The 30-day experiment gave me the tool to do just that, over and over, until it became my new normal. The fear is still there sometimes, but now it works for me, not against me. Your fear and your purpose are connected. That voice of doubt gets loudest right when you're about to do something truly meaningful. The answer isn't to fight that voice, but to reframe your relationship with it. To see it not as a critic, but as a misguided protector. The reframe technique, naming the fearful story and consciously choosing a better one, is the key that unlocks this new relationship. It's a skill, and like any skill, it gets stronger the more you use it. You don't have to go on some huge, life-changing quest tomorrow. Start small. For the next 7 days, I challenge you to try this. Each day, pick one tiny thing that scares you. Sending that email, making that call, speaking up in a meeting, saying hello to a stranger. When you feel that pang of fear, don't run. Pause. Acknowledge the story your fear is telling you. Then, deliberately write a new one. A story of opportunity, of learning, of courage. And then take that small step. Just see what happens. Collect your own data. This is how you build a new relationship with fear. Prove to your brain that a different outcome is possible. Not by waiting for the fear to go away, but by taking action in its presence. That is where real confidence is born. If this idea is resonating with you and you want to explore more ways to build a life of courage and purpose, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll be sharing more insights and experiments to help you become the architect of your own mind. Thanks for watching.